N.A.G.M is the acronym and nickname for this year's annual general meeting of Amnesty International Australia. In fact, in 2009 it forms the second annual meeting of the year, the earlier having been held by teleconference in June in each of the individual states' offices. The N.A.G.M, or National Extraordinary General Meeting, is the larger of these two meetings, and by and large forms the conference proper, and was this year held at the New South Wales Action Centre in Sydney. Delegates, observers and advisory groups journeyed by airplane from each of Australia's states to participate. I myself travelled as an observer, with the intent to at least learn a lot, as well as to gain further insight as to how the wider organisation works, and to finally meet and get to know in person many of the people that I had already dealt with many times by email from other parts of Amnesty International here in Australia. The meeting was held over 3 days and involved ceremonies and descriptive introductions, events and workshops, the fine-tuning of this year's resolutions prior to voting, as well as the voting session itself, held on the last day of the conference. What follows forms a snapshot of our experiences as participants, and an insight into the thoughts and feelings of a handful of the participants that I got to know over a 3-day period. The event took place from Friday the 27th of November through to Sunday the 29th of November 2009. On the first day, at around 1 p.m, the first order of business was the signing in. We received a bag of materials and were each supplied with a name tag. Myself at least, not quite knowing what to expect, we assembled in the main gathering room to hear from New South Wales Branch President Anthony Mitchell, and later from Alan Madden, an Indigenous Aboriginal who welcomed us all to country on behalf of the Gadigal people, the traditional owners of the land on which the New South Wales Action Centre resides. It was a very heartfelt and inspiring moment.
An extraordinary general meeting. I trust that over the next 3 days we shall see this to be true, not only in technical terms, but in the spirit of the event as well.
I'd like to start with some quick thank yous. In particular, I know all the staff have been involved in this, but there's some particular staff who've done a lot of work, and I want to mention Katie at the back, who always hates being mentioned, but she always does such great stuff. I'd also like to mention, Anthony mentioned the 3 Ds, we have a 4th D in the dynamic Dominic over there, who also has been instrumental in getting this thing organised. He'll speak a little bit later briefly about the logistics and how things are going to work.
And we really truly are a global movement of people just like us, sitting in rooms just like this, grappling with issues that we are. And so remember to reflect on that and draw on that as a strength and an aspiration and ambition as well. And so when we're remembering who we are, it's good to remember also who we're with and how we wish to treat each other, and just to remember, of course, to be considerate and respectful this weekend. I don't doubt that Amnesty members are more than capable of that, but it is good to remember.
The role of the facilitator is to guide the proceedings, and Anna did a terrific job over the 3 days of the conference.
I know the room looks a little bit like a classroom or a theatre, but it's intended to be a weekend of engagement for you. And so that's actually why I am here, is so that we can have as much of an engagement as you can without a one-way set of presentations. So use that opportunity, it's what you're here for.
After taking care of some governance issues, we broke for morning tea. This was a terrific opportunity to introduce myself and be introduced to many people from Amnesty Action Centres from across Australia. Amazing to me was how easy it was to begin a conversation, as participants from all levels of Amnesty here in Australia seemed genuinely open and willing, if not eager, to share where they come from and their ideas about the wider organisation. In the afternoon we were introduced to the resolutions. In 2009 they formed 13 concerns and proposed changes to the organisation, some from each of the branch committees of each of Australia's states and territories. These would later be put to the vote on Sunday, 2 days from now. Later, in the afternoon, our National President gave us an overview of the outcomes of the recent International Council meeting of Amnesty International, held earlier this year in Turkey. Here's Claire Mallinson, our National Director, guiding us through Amnesty Australia's operational plan and vision for the years leading up to 2014.
And this is the kind of starting point for our operational plan. But there are a number of other checklists and reference points for the operational plan, one of which is what Nicole's already mentioned, and that's the integrated strategic plan that was agreed in August at the International Council meeting.
Last up for the day, we all had a break while the room was prepared for 2 further ceremonies. Ty Madden, the son of Alan Madden, welcomed us once again to country. And then, in a memorable moment, the room in which we had been gathering was dedicated to long-time volunteer Emil Witten, who served Amnesty International Australia tirelessly for a period of over 20 years. After a full day, we caught the bus back to our accommodation for the conference, the Camperdown Ridges Hotel. Later, in my room, I struggled to give an overview of day 1 of my first N.E.G.M. Some of the highlights of today were the workshops that were in the afternoon. We gathered round in groups. There were 3 lots of workshops today. And we gathered around in groups in our workshop, specifically ours, which was entitled How to Best Support and Develop Activism in the Regions to Achieve Our Vision. And it was a great little gathering. Our group was a great little gathering. We sat around, we divided in half. We sat around with huge bits of butcher paper, and we, as ideas came around the table, and were reworked by, the floor as it happens. As we reworked ideas from other people and came up with some great gems, it was written down on the butcher paper, and then we presented it to the wider group at the end on 2 various fronts: how to make Amnesty a better organisation, how to attract more interest in the organisation from all kinds of people, and to achieve a goal of, I think it is 500,000 actions. And how do we achieve that goal? How do we get people to take a greater interest in our urgent actions for the Amnesty work that we do? It was a terrific first day, and one thing I soon learned that would stand me in good stead for the rest of the conference was the importance of a good night's sleep ahead of the next day.